There's this really weird, kind of sticky conversation that happens between a lot of indie game developers. The question is, should you focus on being an artist, a purist? Should you help change the world with your indie game? Or should you focus on money and just make a commercially viable game? My name is Thomas Brush. I'm the creator of some artsy-fartsy games. One of them is called Pinstripe, another one's called Neversong. And I also have a platform called fulltimegamedev.com. If you guys want to get those games or even check out the online course, click the link in the description. These artsy-fartsy games that I created over the past decade of being an indie game developer were primarily motivated by being a purist, wanting to make a great story and change the world. But there was also part of me that honestly wanted to make some money and wanted to make it big. I had a really cool conversation with an indie game developer, and his name is Noah. Some of you might know him. He has a YouTube channel called Blackthorn Prod. Click the link in the description if you want to subscribe. He's a really smart dude, and Noah and I had a conversation about this. You know, the importance of maybe dreaming a little bit about building wealth as an indie game developer versus purely focusing on the artistic integrity of your work. This is a clip from a full interview that I did with Noah, and I'm gonna post that interview in a couple weeks. But for now, let's take a look at this clip. Really insightful for me, and I think it will be for you guys as well. So I'm curious other than wish lists, is there any data points that you can look at from your game, your recent release? And can you look at any of that data and maybe share it with the audience? Like, you don't have to open it up if you don't want, but I'm just curious.
Oh man, I'm always so fascinated in other people, releasing their data and showing what they, how sales did and stuff. 'Cause it's so useful for other people as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, totally. I'm all for sharing some stats. So I better go in Steamworks.
Yeah, that's fine. So I'm curious if you sold as many copies as you expected, less than you expected.
So less than I expected. So I don't know where I got this stat. I think for some reason I thought that maybe 50% of my wish lists would turn into actual sales.
Yeah, I read that too.
So when I had like 6,000 wish lists at launch, I was quite sure I was going to get 3,000 sales at least. They're like 3,000 copies sold. When in fact I think during the first week I got about 1,000 copies sold, if I remember well.
Yeah.
And I actually made a whole video about that, which is, if I think, my second most popular video, which goes to show how people are craving, learning about stats and money.
They want to hear how much money they're gonna make. That's a good thing to want to know, because a lot of our audiences, and I'm opening up my Steamworks as well to
that was really great. I saw your video about, I think, a week or maybe 2 weeks after Neversong release. You shared some stats, which was fascinating.
But then I had to delete the effing video because
Ouch.
PC Gamer did a whole article about how I accidentally sent 4,000 keys to my backers, and that was just a small portion of the video. But PC Gamer did a whole article about how I had released 4,000 keys, and so that was one reason why I was like, I'm not gonna have this video posted. But I also there was some data in that video that I wasn't allowed to share per some NDAs, and so I had to remove that video. But the same thing happened for you. Like, that video went gangbusters because so many people want to know how things are going.
750,000 views, which is massive.
Dude, that's crazy. Really?
Yeah, it's my second most popular video. The first is pixel art, and then this one's the second.
Yeah.
And so it just is massive, and the response is just so positive. People love the transparency and the honesty. Obviously, my game was small, and I didn't make a fortune with it, and so I didn't have any problems revealing my stats with other people. But it was really interesting, and it would be great. It's actually Tim Ruswick that inspired me to just to share my stats as well. When he showed his on Philophobia, which was his game. They released on itch.io. But yeah, really great.
So I'm looking at my data right now. I'm curious if your wish lists right now currently are double what they were when you launched.
So yes, they are actually.
Okay, that is the data point. I haven't seen anyone say that, but it's same thing for me. They're all basically double.
Yeah, I've got 12,000 now.
Yep.
12,612.
Yep. And so for me, I pushed really hard for wishlist. So I had about 27,000 on launch, and now they're kind of double, 41,000, so 42,000.
Oh wow, yeah.
And so
there's a lot of wish lists. There's a lot of wish lists, and so I wonder if those will, over time, bit by bit, turn into actual sales.
I don't know, man. I don't know if they're going to convert. I really don't, because I'm looking at Pinstripe right now. Let me open that up. Mm-hmm. And Pinstripes, dude, the wish list for Pinstripe are 75,000.
Wow.
Now, am I gonna sell even like what's the conversion rate supposed to be? Like, is it?
I heard 50%, but I think that's completely wrong. I mean, it really
50%
depends on so many factors.
I think that's only for your launch day.
Maybe.
I've heard that 50% of your wish list on launch day will convert, something like that. But
I think that's really maybe a really good scenario.
Yeah. Whereas I think it's like supposed to be like 10 to 15% total.
Yeah.
Over time. So if I get my calculator out.
Oh, okay.
If I get my calculator out and I calculate 75,000 wish lists, selling the game on average, right now I'm selling it for like $2-3 because it's always on sale, really cheap. So if I sell 15% of those, that's 11,000 copies times, what did I just say, $5? $3?
Yeah.
$3. That's $33,000. And I just don't know if that's going to happen. So
yeah, it's hard to say, and that's $33,000 without like Steam taking a share and tax
and
stuff.
Publisher, because I have publishers, so they take a cut.
Also yeah.
So yeah,
it's tough. Making money on Steam, it can be pretty tough. Yeah, as far as I found out.
And I think this just goes to show like it's really important to not hang your like hold on too tightly to what you expect your wish list to do, because sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Sure.
I
know. It's it's tricky. It's like it's good to be motivated by money and stuff. Actually, that's something quite interesting you said with David in your previous podcast, and you said it's kind of like okay to be motivated by money or views or stats.
I think it helps.
And actually, it's so fascinating because for quite a long time. For some reason, I had this very purist attitude, and I felt really quite guilty if I was feeling if I was feeling motivated by money, even if it was only partially. I felt like that I shouldn't be motivated at all by that. For some reason, I just thought that. And
same thing, man. Same thing. When I was 25, I thought that way, and now I'm like, no, bring on the cash, because it's so much easier to be objective about your game, and. Yeah. Finish it and get things done. And honestly, I'm a bit of a capitalist myself, but it's so much easier to release content that your audience likes, because I guess it's a double-edged sword, like most things. But when you're motivated by money, you tend to be like, okay, well, how do I get my audience to buy this game? What do they want? And then you put stuff in that game that you think your audience is going to like because you want to make some money. And so it kind of works out that way, but that also means that you're going to sell out maybe. If you care too much about money, you might sell out and make junky games.
It's like a fine balance you need to strike between having obviously that passion and wanting to create a game that you like and you enjoy doing it. But it was really soothing to hear. It was just nice and refreshing to hear. Actually, it really was just to hear that it's okay, to be motivated by
Isn't that a weird thing?
Things like
it's
just
soothing.
Money
it's soothing and refreshing to hear.
It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was for such a long time. Yeah, for such a long time I was feeling guilty about that. About like YouTube stats and saying, I shouldn't be looking at the numbers, and it shouldn't matter if I get 100,000 anyway. It's just like a number. What's important is the journey and all that.
Well, I always say that human beings should live their life like they're in an RPG. They should always be looking to advance and upgrade. And I love, I'm looking at my Steam stats right now, And there's just nothing more exciting than looking through stats and seeing growth, or maybe seeing decline and thinking, okay, what can I do to do better?
It actually gives me joy. Yeah, it really does bring on a certain excitement, when you see these stats and you wonder how you can increase them, and you compare them. If you do it too much, it could be unhealthy, but I think, if you find that good balance, it's perfectly good to be interested in these things and be partly, motivated about it.
I think one of the biggest problems that human beings have in general, and I don't want to get too philosophical here, but one of our biggest problems as human beings is we don't believe in nuance anymore. Everything is so polarized in black and white in this world. And for me, I'm learning I'm the same way with game development. It's like you're either a purist and you make games solely to tell a story and to change the world, or you're a jackass capitalist just trying to make money, make a bunch of Flappy Bird clones. And I'm like, no, can we have some nuance here? Is it possible to, and this is what David is really good at, David Whaley. And I guess we'll just link his podcast in the description because he was really helpful. He's both an entrepreneur, somebody who...
And an art,
and an artist. Yeah, he's an entrepreneur and an artist. He does both. And I think that is, look, if the majority of our audience is just trying to be a purist, they're not going to release games. So because it's never going to be what they thought it was going to be, and it's never going to quote unquote change the world. And so I think it's important to separate yourself from your game, not make it all about you, and also spend some time being an entrepreneur and maybe dream a little bit about making some money, because it might drive you to finish your game and do it right so that you don't have to be miserable the next game you make.
Exactly. I think it's just there's no reason to not be excited about these things if that's good for you. Of course, it's true that some people do find it hard, and I found it hard for a time, to meld kind of business and art, and not wanting to sell my soul to my audience, just wanting to make whatever I wanted and don't care about views or whatever else. But there is also a pleasure in trying to please others and get that get people to really enjoy what you make. But it's about balance. It's just about finding that balance between what you need as a person. And as you said, it's all about nuance and not just black and white all the time.
Okay, guys, this video is brought to you by Squarespace. Believe it or not, I've been wanting Squarespace as a sponsor for so long, mainly because Squarespace is awesome. I've been using Squarespace for, I think, 6 years. Both my websites, thomasbrush.com and atmosgames.com, where I host my games and my portfolio, my resume, all that cool stuff is hosted on Squarespace. It was created with Squarespace. Squarespace is cool because you can look amazing, you can have custom designs, and pretty much do anything you need to do for your business or your own personal brand, all with Squarespace, and you don't have to know how to code. So if you guys are interested in creating a website with Squarespace, click the link below, squarespace.com/ThomasBrush, and use the promo code ThomasBrush for 10% off. Yay, I love Squarespace, I really do. Thanks, Squarespace.